Mechanics will be mad. The $1 bathroom paste that outperforms $400 repairs, the $400 billion-dollar betrayal. Picture this. A driver walks into a dealership with foggy headlights. The technician inspects the car for barely 5 minutes and hands over an estimate, $800, just to replace 2 headlight assemblies. The driver is stunned. It's just plastic covering a bulb. How could it possibly cost that much? But here's what they don't tell you at that counter. Hidden in your bathroom cabinet, sitting next to your toothpaste and shaving cream, there's a $1 or $2 liquid that can fix those same headlights in less than 12 minutes. No special tools, no expert knowledge. Just a simple chemical compound that the automotive industry desperately hopes you never discover. This isn't just about overpriced repairs. This is about a conspiracy that dates back more than 4 decades. In 1981, Ford Motor Company filed a petition that would quietly reshape the entire automotive industry. They wanted permission to replace traditional glass headlights with something cheaper to manufacture, polycarbonate plastic. The government approved it. Other manufacturers followed. And within years, every new car rolling off assembly lines had plastic headlights instead of glass. The justification seemed reasonable at the time. Plastic was lighter, safer in crashes, and easier to mold into aerodynamic designs. But there was another reason, one they didn't advertise in press releases or consumer brochures. Glass headlights never turned yellow. They never fogged up. They could last the entire lifetime of a vehicle without degradation. Plastic, however, was different. Plastic was vulnerable. Exposed to sunlight, heat, and oxidation, polycarbonate headlights begin deteriorating within just a few years. They turn cloudy, they yellow, they scatter light instead of focusing it. When that happens, drivers face a choice. Pay hundreds of dollars for replacement assemblies or drive with reduced visibility that puts everyone on the road at risk. This is what they call planned obsolescence. It's the practice of deliberately designing products to fail or become obsolete within a specific time frame, forcing consumers to spend more money on replacements. The automotive industry didn't stumble into this business model by accident. They engineered it. They lobbied for it. And for decades, they've profited from it to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. Every year, millions of car owners walk into dealerships and repair shops while it's open, believing they have no other option. The system is designed to make you feel helpless. The costs are inflated. The replacement parts are marked up, and the simple, affordable solutions are kept carefully out of sight. But what if there was another way? What if you could restore those headlights yourself in your own driveway, using materials that cost less than a fast food meal? What if the solution was so simple that the industry spent decades trying to keep it quiet? This isn't just about saving money on a repair bill. This is about taking back control from an industry that has deliberately profited from your ignorance. This is about understanding how a single regulatory decision in 1981 created a $400 billion industry built on planned failure. And this is about learning the forbidden fix that dealerships and manufacturers don't want you to know exists. The truth has been hiding in plain sight for years. The tools are accessible, the process is straightforward, and once you understand what's really happening under those cloudy plastic lenses, you'll never look at your car the same way again. This is your invitation to fight back against one of the automotive industry's most profitable secrets. This is the beginning of your rebellion. The invisible danger. To understand why your headlights fail, you need to understand what's happening at the molecular level. Polycarbonate plastic, the material used in modern headlights, is made up of long polymer chains. When these headlights are brand new, the chains are tightly organized and transparent, allowing light to pass through clearly. But the moment your car leaves the factory, a silent countdown begins. Ultraviolet rays from the sun bombard the headlight surface every single day. This isn't just surface damage you can wipe away. UV radiation triggers a chemical process called photooxidation. The energy from these rays breaks the molecular bonds holding those polymer chains together. Oxygen in the air reacts with the broken fragments, creating new compounds that scatter light instead of transmitting it. Over time, microscopic cracks form across the entire surface. The plastic becomes porous, moisture seeps in, the degradation accelerates. What started as crystal clear plastic transforms into a cloudy, yellowed barrier that blocks the very light it was designed to project. This isn't a manufacturing defect, this is basic chemistry. And every single polycarbonate headlight on every single car is undergoing this exact process right now, whether you can see it yet or not. The American Automobile Association conducted a comprehensive study in 2018 that revealed the true scale of this problem. Researchers tested headlights on vehicles of various ages and measured their actual light output compared to factory specifications. The results were alarming. Headlights that had degraded over several years were only producing 22% of their original light output. 22%. That means 78% of the light that should be illuminating the road ahead is being scattered, absorbed, or blocked by damaged plastic. Imagine driving at night with 78% of your vision suddenly removed. That's not an exaggeration. That's the reality for millions of drivers who haven't replaced or restored their headlights. And most of them don't even realize how compromised their visibility has become because the degradation happens gradually, almost imperceptibly, over years. Now consider this statistic. Approximately 50% of all fatal traffic accidents occur at night, even though nighttime driving accounts for only 25% of total miles driven. The risk of a deadly crash doubles after sunset. And one of the primary contributing factors is reduced visibility. When your headlights are operating at a fraction of their intended brightness, your reaction time evaporates. A child stepping into the street, a deer frozen on the roadside, a stalled vehicle with no lights. These hazards that should be visible from hundreds of feet away suddenly appear in your path with only seconds to react. This isn't about cosmetics. This isn't about making your car look newer. This is about the difference between seeing an obstacle in time to stop and not seeing it until it's too late. Degraded headlights kill people. They kill drivers, passengers, pedestrians, and cyclists. And the automotive industry has known about this problem since the day they switched from glass to plastic. But here's what makes this situation even more disturbing. This isn't an unfortunate side effect of progress. This is an engineered revenue stream. Car manufacturers design headlight assemblies to fail within a predictable time frame, typically between 3 to 5 years depending on climate and usage. They know exactly when the polymer degradation will reach the point where consumers notice the problem. They know exactly when you'll walk into a dealership or repair shop looking for a solution. And they've structured their entire replacement parts pricing model around that inevitable moment. Every cloudy headlight represents a revenue opportunity. Multiply that by millions of vehicles on the road, and you're looking at an industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The parts markup is astronomical, the labor charges are inflated, and the consumer, believing they have no alternative, pays whatever price is demanded. This is the invisible danger, not just the physical risk of driving with compromised lighting, but the financial trap that's been carefully constructed around a problem that was deliberately created. Your safety is being held hostage by an industry that profits from planned failure. And until you understand both the science of why it happens and the system that perpetuates it, you'll remain exactly where they want you, in the dark, both literally and figuratively. The psychology of the scam. The automotive industry has spent decades building an invisible wall between you and your car. They've deliberately cultivated an image of complexity, a narrative that vehicle maintenance requires specialized knowledge, expensive equipment, and certified expertise. This isn't accidental. This is psychological warfare designed to make you feel incompetent, intimidated, and dependent. The moment you believe that fixing your car is beyond your capabilities, you become a perpetual customer. You stop asking questions. You stop looking for alternatives. And you hand over your credit card without resistance. Walk into any dealership service center and observe the theater. Technicians in branded uniforms, diagnostic computers with flashing displays, specialized tools hanging on shadowed walls. The entire environment is choreographed to communicate one message. This is too complicated for you. But here's what they're not telling you. The vast majority of automotive maintenance, including headlight restoration, requires nothing more than basic materials and simple mechanical understanding. The complexity is performed, not inherent. The numbers reveal the truth behind the performance. The global automotive parts and accessories industry generates over $414 billion annually. That's not a tiring error, $414 billion. And a significant portion of that revenue comes from replacement parts for problems that could be prevented or repaired with inexpensive solutions. But there's a critical obstacle to maintaining this profit stream. Companies cannot patent toothpaste. They cannot patent baking soda. They cannot patent the simple chemical compounds that effectively restore oxidized plastic. So instead, they hide these solutions. Not through active suppression or conspiracy in the traditional sense, but through strategic silence. They don't advertise affordable alternatives. They don't train service advisors to mention them. They flood the market with expensive branded restoration kits and proprietary products, while the simple household solutions remain invisible to the average consumer. The information exists, but it's buried under layers of marketing, positioned just out of reach of the ordinary car owner who trusts the experts to provide honest guidance. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually walk into a dealership with foggy headlights. The service advisor inspects your vehicle, they take notes, and then they deliver their recommendation, full headlight assembly replacement. The quote lands somewhere between $400 and $800 depending on your vehicle make and model. They'll frame it as a safety issue, which it legitimately is. They'll mention that restoration is only temporary, which contains a grain of truth. But what they won't mention is that temporary restoration costing less than $5 and lasting 1 to 2 years is vastly superior to paying hundreds of dollars for plastic assemblies that will degrade again on the exact same timeline. The economics are deliberately obscured. That replacement assembly they're quoting doesn't cost the dealership $400. Their actual cost is a fraction of the retail price. The markup is staggering, And the labor charges, often 1 to 2 hours of billable time, are inflated far beyond the actual minutes required for installation. You're not just paying for parts and service, you're paying for shareholder returns, overhead costs, marketing budgets, and executive compensation. Your foggy headlights are funding an entire corporate infrastructure. But here's where the scam becomes truly audacious. Those headlight restoration kits sold at auto parts stores for $25 to $30, the ones marketed as the affordable DIY solution? Inside those branded packages, beneath the professional labels and instruction booklets, you'll find the same basic ingredients that sit in your bathroom cabinet or kitchen pantry. Mild abrasives, cleaning agents, UV protectants. The active compounds are not proprietary. They're not specialized. They're repackaged, remarketed household products sold at a 1,500% markup. A tube of toothpaste costs $2. A box of baking soda costs $1. Together with a little water and 5 minutes of your time, they can restore headlights just as effectively as those $30 kits. The industry knows this. Mechanics know this. Dealership service managers know this. But there's no profit in telling you the truth. This is the psychology of the scam. Convince you that simplicity is complexity. Convince you that affordable solutions don't exist. Convince you that asking questions makes you difficult rather than informed. And most importantly, convince you that the only trustworthy source of automotive knowledge is the same industry profiting from your ignorance. Once they've constructed that mental framework, they don't need to actively deceive you. You'll deceive yourself, walking voluntarily into financial traps while believing you have no other choice. The bathroom lab. You don't need a workshop. You don't need power tools. You don't need certification or training. Everything required to restore your headlights is already in your home, sitting in the most unlikely place, your bathroom cabinet. This is where the rebellion begins, not in an auto parts store or dealership service bay, but in the same space where you brush your teeth every morning. The formula is almost insultingly simple. White toothpaste, not gel, not the colorful striped varieties marketed for whitening or tartar control. Plain white toothpaste, the kind that looks like thick white paste when you squeeze it from the tube. This is your primary restoration compound. Next, baking soda. The same box you use for baking or keeping your refrigerator fresh. These two ingredients, combined in equal parts, create a mild abrasive mixture that costs less than $3 total and performs identically to products sold for 10 times that price. Mix approximately 2 tablespoons of white toothpaste with 1 tablespoon of baking soda in a small container. Add a few drops of water if needed to achieve a thick, spreadable consistency. That's it. No complex chemical formulations, no proprietary ratios, just 2 common household products mixed together in 30 seconds. Now let's talk about why this works at the molecular level. White toothpaste contains mild abrasives, typically hydrated silica or calcium carbonate. These are the same compounds used in professional polishing products. They're designed to gently scrub away surface stains and build up without damaging underlying material. Toothpaste also contains hydrogen peroxide in small concentrations, a chemical oxidizer that breaks down organic compounds and yellowed oxidation layers. When you combine these properties with baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, and adds additional gentle abrasive action plus alkaline cleaning power, you create a restoration compound that attacks headlight degradation through multiple mechanisms simultaneously. The oxidized layer on your headlights isn't molecularly bonded to the plastic beneath. It's surface contamination, chemical breakdown products, sitting on top of still intact polycarbonate. The abrasives physically scrub away this damaged layer, while the chemical agents dissolve oxidation compounds. You're not repairing the plastic, you're removing the damaged outer surface to reveal the clearer material underneath. Here's the process, step by step. First, wash your headlights with soap and water to remove loose dirt and debris. Dry them completely. Next, and this step is critical, mask off the surrounding paint with painter's tape. The same abrasive action that clears your headlights can damage your car's finish if you're not careful. Take an extra 2 minutes to protect the edges. It's worth it. Apply a generous amount of your toothpaste and baking soda mixture to a damp microfiber cloth or sponge, not soaking wet, just damp enough to create smooth movement. Now, using firm circular motions, begin rubbing the mixture across the entire headlight surface. You'll immediately feel resistance as the abrasives engage with the oxidized layer. Keep moving in overlapping circles, covering every section of the lens. Apply consistent pressure. You're not trying to scrub through the plastic, but you need enough force for the abrasives to do their work. Within 60 seconds, something remarkable happens. The white paste you're rubbing starts changing color. It turns yellow, then darker yellow, then brown. That discoloration isn't the toothpaste. That's the oxidation layer being stripped away, suspended in the mixture. Visible proof that the chemistry is working. Keep going. 3 to 5 minutes of continuous rubbing per headlight. Your arm will get tired. That's normal. The physical effort is part of the process. After 5 minutes, rinse the headlight thoroughly with clean water. Use your hand to wipe away all residue, and then step back. The transformation is immediate and dramatic. Where there was yellow haze, there's now clarity. Where light was scattered and diffused, it now passes through cleanly. The difference between before and after isn't subtle. It's the difference between looking through a dirty window and looking through clean glass. This is factory clarity, or close enough that most people can't tell the difference without a side-by-side comparison. The headlight won't be absolutely perfect. You might see minor scratches or small imperfections that were hidden beneath the oxidation, but the overall light transmission is restored. The yellowing is gone, and the cost? Less than the price of a coffee. This is the forbidden knowledge. This is what the $400 billion industry doesn't want demonstrated on driveways across the country. Because once you've done this once, you realize how simple it actually is. And simple doesn't generate profit. The master secret and longevity. Here's where most people fail. They follow the restoration process perfectly. They mix the toothpaste and baking soda. They scrub away the oxidation. They rinse and admire their crystal clear headlights. And then they stop. 3 months later, sometimes less, the yellowing returns. The cloudiness creeps back, and they conclude that DIY restoration doesn't work, that it's just a temporary fix, not worth the effort. But they're wrong. The restoration worked perfectly. What failed was the final step they never took. Bare polycarbonate plastic, even freshly restored, has no defense against UV radiation. The moment you finish cleaning those headlights, the photo-oxidation process begins again. Sunlight hits the exposed plastic. Molecular bonds start breaking. Oxygen reacts with the surface. Without protection, you've simply reset the degradation clock back to 0, and it immediately starts counting forward again. This is the missing step that separates a 3-month fix from a 2-year solution. UV protection. Walk into any hardware store and find the spray paint section. Look for clear coat spray designed for automotive or outdoor use. The label must specifically mention UV resistance or UV protection. These products cost between $4 and $6 per can. 1 can is enough for multiple applications. You're looking for a clear, glossy finish that creates a protective barrier between the plastic and the environment. This is the same type of coating that professionals apply after restoration, sold under various brand names for $50 to $80. The chemistry is identical. The price is not. After your headlights are clean, dry, and completely free of residue, apply this clear coat in thin, even layers. Hold the can approximately 8 to 10 inches from the surface. Spray in smooth, horizontal passes, overlapping each pass by about 50%. 1 thin coat. Let it dry for 15 minutes. Apply a second thin coat. Wait another 15 minutes. Apply a third coat. 3 thin coats provide better protection and smoother finish than 1 heavy coat, which can run, drip, or create an uneven surface. These coats create a sacrificial layer. UV radiation attacks the clear coat instead of the headlight plastic beneath. When the coating eventually degrades, which takes 1 to 2 years depending on climate and sun exposure, you simply clean the headlight again and reapply new protection. The underlying plastic remains intact. This is how you break the planned obsolescence cycle. This is how a $5 can of spray turns a temporary repair into long-term maintenance. But what if your headlights are beyond simple cleaning? What if the oxidation has progressed so deeply that toothpaste alone can't remove it? This is where wet sanding enters the process. It's more intensive, requires more time, but handles even the most severely degraded headlights. You'll need 3 grits of wet, dry sandpaper, 400, 800, and 2000. These are available at any auto parts or hardware store for a few dollars per sheet. The process is methodical. Soak the sandpaper in water. Keep the headlight surface wet throughout. Start with 400 grit, the coarsest, and sand the entire headlight in back and forth motions. You're removing the damaged outer layer entirely. The plastic will look worse before it looks better, turning cloudy and scratched. That's expected. After covering the whole surface, move to 800 grit. Sand again, still keeping everything wet. The scratches become finer. Finally, 2000 grit. This is your polishing step. The surface becomes smooth and approaches clarity. Now apply your toothpaste mixture as a final polish. The abrasives in the toothpaste are finer than even the 2000 grit paper, removing the last microscopic scratches. Rinse thoroughly. Apply your UV protective clear coat. The result is showroom clarity from headlights that looked beyond saving 30 minutes earlier. Total cost for the complete process, including sandpaper, toothpaste, baking soda, and UV clear coat, less than $10. Total time investment, 30 to 40 minutes. The result? Indistinguishable from an $800 dealership replacement. Better, actually, because you now understand the process and can maintain it yourself indefinitely. This is the master secret. Not just the restoration, but the protection. Not just the cheap fix, but the sustainable system. This is what mechanics don't want demonstrated. This is what dealerships hope you never discover. And this is only one secret among hundreds. The Forbidden Vault exists because industries profit from your ignorance. Automotive, medical, financial, technology. Every sector has insider knowledge that could save you thousands. The Headlight Secret is your introduction. Subscribe to Access the Bunker. Learn what they're hiding. Take back control of your money, your property, and your power. The rebellion doesn't end here. This is where it begins.